2 dicks, 0 chicks, and 3 flicks. You're listening to Fart House Cinema.
Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome to the second episode of Fart House Cinema. Who would have known we would have made it this far? Thank you for listening to the first one. If you haven't listened to the first one, well, you're in for a treat for this one.
And thank you for not reporting us or getting us shut down yet, at least.
Yes.
So
we got 3 really cool movies. Mike and I, we both have kind of a man crush on Ryan Gosling. We're not ashamed of it at all.
It's full blown. It's out of control.
It's full blown. We're doing 3 Ryan Gosling movies today. We're doing Crazy Stupid Love, just a rom-com that I forced Mike to watch.
I don't want to talk about it.
Well, you are going to have to.
I have to, yeah. There's no choice.
We're also doing Gangster Squad, which is a great, great movie. Very underrated movie.
And we're closing with Spencer's personal, and I think one of his favorites.
One of my favorite movies of the last at least 10 years, Place Beyond the Pines, which technically isn't really a Ryan Gosling movie.
Well, I mean, he's in it.
He's in it.
He steals the show for the short time he's there, but more to come on that.
You forgot to say spoiler.
I didn't say what happens.
All right, well, we'll get there.
Anyway, so we appreciate you guys tuning in, and we hope you like this one, and we want all your feedback that you can possibly give us, including you, Mike Garrett. Fuck the whales.
Fuck the whales. This is the first movie of the...
So we just finished doing Crazy Stupid Love. So when you're doing this, when you're creating content, when you're recording content, obviously shit can go wrong. We just got some new hardware today, so we're learning how to do...
Which is why we sound better, by the way.
Yeah, well, we sound maybe worse.
Maybe worse.
Hear us more what we actually sound like.
Yeah, this is high-definition shit, as opposed to...
We won't be investing in cams, though, on the plus side, so
no.
you never have to look at us. But
if you want photos of us, just ask. We will send them to you immediately.
So many dick pics.
Yeah.
But so we already recorded one for Crazy Stupid Love, but something happened with our database.
I deleted the podcast
You saved
magic.
over it.
Yes, I saved over it.
So we have to do it again. So without further ado, here's Crazy Stupid Love.
Twice.
This for the second time, for the first time for you.
Yeah, this is a romantic comedy that I forced Mike to watch.
I don't want to talk about it, but we have to.
It's a ham-fisted romantic comedy that is just the best and worst thing.
This is, for you guys at home, this is the second time we've used the word ham-fisted in one of our reviews, but for me it's the third time, so... Hey now, third ham-fisting.
I get it, I forgot that, okay.
It's a romantic comedy that follows Steve Carell post the collapse of his marriage. He's been married...
Husk of a man at this point.
Absolute husk, a shell of his former self. And, he's been married to his high school sweetheart. They've been together since high school. He got her knocked up early, a point that comes back to be quite relevant and interesting later on in the film. It's shot pretty well. There's a scene I think that summarizes it really well. They're at a fancy restaurant. They're both kicking it, just hanging out. And he's like, "Why don't we say what we both want at the same time?" And it's just this cute scene, and it's great because it films underneath all the tables, and it shows all these couples in really nice outfits with nice shoes playing footsies under the table, and you get that classic like, "Oh, love is in the air."
Yep.
These people all care about each other, and then it shows his table, and he's wearing an ugly pair of sneakers, which comes back later on in the film when Gosling makes fun of them. But suffice to say,
it's Steve Jobs shoes.
Yeah. She's like, "I want a divorce," and that's what spirals all this shit.
Yeah, he asks about it. Do you want dessert?
Yeah, he's thinking about ordering. She's like, "I want a dessert." It's about like not the collapse, but the troublesome path that their marriage is taking. Fast forward, they end up finding out that she cheated on him, and they're still trying to resolve it, but there's complicated issues, and he's not doing his part as someone like he didn't try hard enough, but she's also kind of a bitch. And they talk about it, but moving forward, he ends up, like, hitting rock bottom. All his friends are gone. He's got nothing left. He's frequenting this one bar.
The only bar in town.
The only bar in town. We'll talk
They're in L.A., but apparently...
Yeah, the only bar he can get into. And it's an amazing bar. And the only bar his daughter frequents, apparently, too, even though they never talk about that. But we'll come back to that as well. So while he's there, he meets Ryan Gosling, who's a regular Casanova, a real ladies' man, because, hey, he looks like Ryan Gosling. That's all it takes.
Yeah, really, like, the dude doesn't have to act.
Oh, like, let me tell you all about my secrets picking up women. Do you stand there and wait for them to come to you?
Say, hey, I'm Ryan Gosling.
Hi, hey, guess what? This is my actual face. Fuck you, Ryan Gosling. Fucking guy. But anyway, so he shows him the ropes, and then by the end of the film, it's kind of like he has to try and put his life together again, and, he tries to take a crack at the bachelor world, but it's a romantic comedy, so he has
he hooks up with one woman, and it's hilarious.
He has to, he becomes the teacher, he becomes the Casanova himself, and it doesn't lead to happiness, so he has to try and rebuild his family, and it's a great subtext. I mean, I can just divulge the plot, but I think we're just going to nitpick pieces here and there.
Yeah, we can do that. The plot's pretty fucking stupid.
It's a romantic comedy. If you're listen, go see Place Beyond the Pines if you want depth and acting and drama and intensity. If you're here because you want to fucking smile and think about the romance that your life is obviously lacking, and stuff your fat face full of fucking Haagen-Dazs because it's delicious.
I think it's pronounced Lindhagen.
Lindhagen.
That's a movie joke. Go see the movie. You'll get that joke.
That was great.
This movie, I said it the first time we recorded this. This movie, as a guy, if you're looking to get blown, but there's a caveat that says you have to watch a movie with this broad, watch this movie.
It doesn't need to be a girl. You could probably, anybody who watches this movie is probably going to prefer to put your dick in their mouth rather than continuing to watch this if they're a fan of film. You know what the truth is? It's a really charming movie. Everyone's great. Carell is really, really funny. He has the depth of like suffering and human misery for a man who's just trying to.
He plays that really, really well, and it's nice. I love The Office, and it's nice to see him play other stuff. I went and recently saw that Foxcatcher that he's in. That's a brilliant movie. He's not a bad actor.
I'll never forgive him for not Dinner with Schmucks.
That movie is unforgivable.
I'll never forgive him for that.
That movie is an abortion. That movie is
an abortion that didn't work. That's how I feel about it.
Yeah, that's half a shop vac and a coat hanger.
Oh, and then you're still a father, then you have to still pay child support. But okay, so kind of continuing the synopsis, a little bit of the plot. So Carell's family's kind of falling apart. He's got an eighth grader as a son.
A sage, apparently.
A wise man. Yeah.
With a fucking ridiculous haircut, by the way.
They talk about it on the plus side. They make fun of his haircut, so you're okay. You can get your validation.
He got like Darth Vader's helmet.
They make fun of it in the film. They're like, God, he looks like a serial killer. His son is in love with the babysitter. The babysitter's in love with him. This movie's just kind of like, I think this movie.
The babysitter's in love with Steve Carell, not the kid. That's a different movie.
Sorry, yeah. Again, like the word soulmate gets thrown
around. That's Lovely Bones, I think.
Way too much.
It does.
Or Rosemary's Baby. Right?
Rosemary's good one. Okay. Are you trying to? What's The Graduate? Even
The Graduate? Are you trying to seduce me? Yeah. But all in all, it does what it needs to do. It gets the job done. It's a romantic comedy. I don't have a lot to say about it. It's a pretty shallow experience. There's some good twists though, like the big.
Is there though?
the big reveal at the end.
Yeah, the big reveal at the end is nice. It turns out that the girl that Gosling ends up like dropping his whole shtick for is the older daughter of Steve Carell, which causes a rift between the two of them, which is leads to some funny stuff.
I think it's great though because you get this really neat kind of sense of like Gosling teaches Carell how to be like this womanizing pickup artist, and then Carell's daughter teaches Gosling how to be a real human.
More like her dad, arguably.
Well, yeah, exactly, right? Like he actually cares. He actually falls for this girl. He's actually into this girl, and it's great watching them kind of hate each other because Carell can't shake this idea that Gosling's this womanizing monster. And the truth is, he doesn't hate Gosling. It's just that he doesn't want his daughter to get hurt, right? So it's complex and complicated, and it leads to this point where he can't deal with everything. And there's a huge climax / brawl when he's trying to win his wife back, where the babysitter's father shows up because he finds photos that she wanted to give Steve Carell
that he doesn't know about.
So he goes over to beat his head in. Lindhagen, who's the guy who's
Kevin Bacon, great character, just a sleazy douche.
He's in the movie so briefly, but when he is, it's great. I love when he talks to the son, and the son raises his chair, so he's looking down at him, and he's like, "So you're the guy." For those of you at home, by the way, Mike just reenacted that as if for my benefit. We're sitting in wooden chairs, and I pretended to. I don't even understand what's wrong with me. There's a lot of things.
That's another episode, actually. We can
do that. We could 45 minutes on all my psychoses. So here's my gripes with the movie. It's a big cheese fest. It's not very complicated. It's not very complex, but there are some things about it that I like. I love the shoe scene at the beginning. I love the bar scene where
it flips.
Yeah, but there's two different bar scenes that really stand out in my mind. And
it's the same bar, by the way.
Yeah, because it's the only bar in town, apparently. And so, there's a scene where Gosling isn't showing up as much. Carell's kind of lonely and bummed out.
Calling him a lot.
Yeah, he's calling him, trying to figure out like, hey, where are you, buddy? Like I want to talk to you. I could use some advice. It's been like I haven't seen you in a while. Da 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 da. And he's sitting at the bar and he's looking across from it. And this is after they've gone and done their montage of teaching Carell or Cal how to dress and how to be like an adult and like look like a human, and it's a great scene. You really enjoyed the montage.
I did, yeah. That's one of my favorite scenes when he opens the Velcro wallet and Gosling just gives up,
throws his shoes at the ball. He's like, "You could have hit somebody," and Gosling just doesn't care.
Are you Steve Jobs?
Are you a multinational billionaire? Like, did you invent something? Oh no, so you have no right to dress like this.
Are you in a frat?
Yeah. Oh, Jesus. But so in the scene, it's after Cal has kind of evolved and become this ladies' man, like this quote unquote success story that Gosling appears to be, the illusion of Gosling's like success and happiness. He sees someone who's like himself, wearing sneakers, drinking like a lady's drink through the straw, and it's like the way I would describe it is trading loneliness. And you realize that Gosling is this empty, lonely character as well, which is what they talk about when he meets Carell's daughter, funny enough, and he talks about all his crazy indulgences and shopping sprees and the ridiculous crap he buys online to fill that void that we all feel.
Yeah, that's a pretty that really sums it all up. There's also a scene in the movie where it sort of flips. Your favorite scene in the movie is Gosling sitting there in his kitchen.
It's just great because you like when you meet Gosling, you just see this character who feels like he's got everything figured out. He's got all the money,
nice suits,
he's attractive, he's dressed well, he's picking up women, he's not afraid of anything. And then it's like this one pinnacle scene where he's on his own, and you figure this dude knows how to live, and he's sitting in his kitchen barefoot, intently reading a box of cereal and eating it, and it's just like, really, this is it? This is what the ladies' man... Like, I mean, he could have been bored with another woman. I would have accepted that, but it's like, cereal? This is what you're doing? This is what you're doing? Really?
His house in the movie, I just want to say quickly, his house in the movie makes me want to kill myself.
Fuck Ryan Gosling.
It makes me want to kill myself. Oh my god.
I'm so sad, I've got so much money and a beautiful house.
I live in a glass house.
I'm really pretty and I get laid all the time, but I'm lonely and empty. Dude, fuck you. Fuck you. I feel that way and I'm not rich or attractive.
Yeah, I'm going to go home to my 2-bedroom apartment with cats and then just cry.
Box of stuffing.
Okay, so there's a scene where he plays catch with his son outside of his, like, really shitty apartment.
Yeah.
And it drives me nuts because this kid is 12.
I mean, it works. It works because he's naive enough to believe what he's saying, but it's totally counterintuitive because it's like you're not going to take romantic advice from an 8th grader.
No, absolutely not.
And he's like, Dad, like if she's your soulmate,
you don't give up. You don't give up. I would have slapped that kid like Tina Turner.
I would have just thrown the fastest pitch I possibly could have right at his genitals. Speedball. Right.
And then sent it to Tom Bergeron.
Yeah. I can't and it's like I said, it works because it's a romantic comedy. Like it's a film that's supposed to be about naive bullshit. It's the idea that if you love someone enough, they'll start to love you back, and that's what his relationship with the babysitter is, and it's unhealthy and it's uncomfortable,
creepy.
I mean, I don't know. It's really awkward too, right? Because she walks in on him jerking in that one scene,
just pulling his little tiny goalie.
It's super awkward and uncomfortable, but you can deal with it. Except he walks out afterwards and he's like, "I think about you while I'm doing it," and it's just like you can't.
Number one, you're just mad he stole your move.
Hey man, if my move works, it's my move. All right, that's all I'm saying. Okay, nothing. Women love it when you tell them you masturbate to them. All right, it's basically like chocolate and money in one place at one time.
Chocolate, money, diamonds, thinking about you.
Yeah. Well, that was awkward.
Yeah, that was awkward. But it sums up us.
But so you get this weird like love triangle, not even love triangle, but it's like this love disconnect because his kid's in love with the babysitter who's older than him, but still like he's much younger than her, and she's in love with Steve Carell's character Cal. And she's too young for him. But there's a scene later on in the film where she tries to take nude photos for him, which you thought was kind of unnecessary.
That was so fucking stupid. We know that the babysitter is awkward because of every scene that she is in up to this stupid bullshit montage. They show her, like, taking photos and, like, making dumb faces and, like, she kind of looked like a bird.
I thought she kind of looked like Aubrey Plaza a little bit.
A little bit. Like
suffice to say, so she takes these photos, puts them in an envelope with Cal's name on it, and
doesn't give them
to him, just keeps them in her drawer. Her parents find them, her mom finds them, shows them to her dad freaks out and runs over to the house to try and fight him. At the same time that the dude who cheated on Steve, or the
David
dude,
Haagen-Dazs or whatever.
Lyndon Haagen-Dazs comes over and says hi. Gosling's there, and it's this big reveal, it's this big twist, because you find out that the girl that Gosling has fallen in love with is actually Carell's other daughter, Hannah. And it's just
because at the time that Carell has like tried to surprise his ex-wife with this like grand romantic gesture.
Well, he took her out for ice cream. They played mini putt or some nonsense, right? Which is why they've got like the windmill in the background. But
so he builds a replica of that.
Yeah.
And on that day, Gosling is supposed to go meet his new girlfriend's parents.
Yeah.
Which turns out to be
them.
Well, it's just the mom that she was
but again, like he was there too.
He ended up being there, and then
the babysitter's dad shows up, and Lindhagen
because she forgot her sweater in his car or something.
No, because it's the dad's coming over to beat the Christ out of him because he finds the photo.
No, I mean the reason Kevin Bacon is there.
Oh yeah, Bacon is there for that. Yeah,
the reason Bacon is there is because she forgot something stupid.
Nonsense.
Anyway, so they all end up being there, and the great moment of that is even though Gosling hasn't seen Steve Carell in what is to amount to like a week, probably.
When he finds out
who he is, he goes, "Oh, you're that guy."
Lindhagen takes his ring off, walks over, and cracks him one. It's a great scene. But it also gets really cringy and unnecessary because it's like this dad of the babysitter is so mad that there's this envelope with Cal's name on it with the photos in it, but he hasn't seen them. Like it's literally like he's got. I understand why he's mad, and I understand that
as a dude, you know, I don't have any kids or anything, but
I'm just saying, like, wouldn't you talk to your daughter for at least a minute to be like, what the hell is this?
Me personally, no, but I have a little bit of a temper.
I don't know. I mean, I'm all about exacting revenge. I just need to make sure who needs it and how it's going to go.
You know, you got to be a little more calculated. You can't just go punching people.
But it's a movie, right? Like, a movie wouldn't be a movie if you, like, at least a direct, like, subplotted, like, cheesy, shallow film like this wouldn't be able to do what it was if people didn't talk about their emotions or what's going on.
The kid is also sort of creepy because he does, like, this Scarlet Letter thing.
He's just awkward, and he's trying to show his love for her, but it's way over the top and really creepy, and it wouldn't, like, it's heartwarming in the film, but it's really just kind
sometimes
of
no just means no.
Yeah, but on the funny note is this movie kind of comes to a climax at the end when we're gonna have to talk about the teacher at some point too because you love her as a character.
Yeah, the teacher. So Cal's only hookup in this movie, he succeeds one time, barely, and it turns out to be with this crazy chick at this bar, who then turns out to be the son's teacher.
The 8th grade teacher, on top of it. Which, it's crazy to me that you don't know who the 8th grade teacher is.
Right. So, yeah, the school doesn't have 10,000 people in it. The other thing, too, is...
the parent-teacher conference.
For some reason, as divorced parents separated, they come to the parent-teacher interview together.
You both care about your kids. I mean, I don't think it happens.
But it leads the teacher to believe that he is still married.
Yeah.
And she flips out, and it's hilarious, and he ends up getting berated about not being able to get it up and whatever.
Oh, it's drama. It's just super face rip-off.
It's so funny. So then Steve Carell starts taking shots. He starts going like, "Oh, she's an alcoholic."
Oh, it's just things just spiral out of control, which is a lot of like where the humor moments of this movie come through. But the big finale is that his son is the valedictorian for whatever reason.
Of course he is.
Yeah, sure. And he's making a speech about how love is dead and it's gone in the world. And I mean, this leads to like the precursor to this is Carell being in a bar, being a depressed husk of himself. And of course, it's the same bar. And like Cal is there, and Ryan Gosling shows up, and he's like, "Can you just not talk to me?" And it's like, maybe go to a different bar. Like you've gone to the same bar this whole movie has been in, and you're surprised to bump into people you know, which bothered the piss out of me, but I thought it was funny. But anyway, so he makes this big spiel about how love is dead and love is bullshit and he doesn't believe in it anymore. And before he can finish, Cal comes down and interrupts it. And it's really awkward because it's like a graduate. Like, none of these kids have any context on what's going on.
Yeah.
So it wouldn't be like everyone would clap and appreciate it. It would just be really uncomfortable. But Carell comes down, hijacks his kid's speech, talks about the importance of love, talks about how he still loves his wife and wants to put things back together. His son closes with like a reboosted and a restored faith and love and professes his love for his babysitter, and they all go outside and they kind of just...
Also, he's 12. Why does he have a babysitter?
Listen, just go with me. We're almost done. This review. So they go outside, everything's all happy, hunky-dory. Gosling gets slapped in the face a couple times, but Cal more or less says, like, I forgive you.
I bought a gun.
Like, if you date my daughter, just don't hurt her or I'll shoot you in the face. Which I think every male with a daughter, I think, understands that fully. He kind of makes up with his wife a little bit. I mean, you don't know where it's going to go, but it's got a positive spin. And then something happens that, to me, seems kind of funny.
Shocked you to your core.
Well, I just can't, I can't fathom, but, so the babysitter ends up appreciating the speech that the 8th grader gives about how he still loves her, and maybe it's because she had unrequited love with Cal. Maybe it's just because she appreciates that this kid's got his faith restored.
Might grow up to look like Cal.
Yeah, I mean, he makes that argument. She's like, that's not a bad angle. But so she gives him the envelope with the photos, But what's addressed earlier is that she's 17, so it's actually child pornography.
It's just an exchange of child porn.
It's literally, but I mean, they're both...
Chris Hansen was waiting in the wings.
I'm just saying, like, they're both accountable for it. They're both, like, I mean, he could actually be charged. He's not an adult, but you're still in possession of child pornography. There's been tons of cases about this in the States. I'm very familiar with it. I need to know where I stand. You know what I mean? Teens, what are you going to do?
He researched his porn before he watched
For this review.
Yeah.
For this review. Only for this review. But like I said, just like photos of a minor, it constitutes child pornography. So it's like this nice, funny gesture, but really uncomfortable for me to watch. But all in all my gripes aside, and my gripes, the foundation of my gripes with this movie are that it's just shallow and simple because it's a romantic comedy, which is exactly what they need to be. And that's what people like about them. They like the redundant, happy, everybody wins at the end, everyone's in love, and fucking everything is meant to be, and yada 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 bullshit. And I mean, if you've got to watch a romantic comedy, watch this one because it's got a couple of good laughs. Carell and Gosling do all right. Emma Stone and Gosling's chemistry is unreal.
Good, so good, so good.
That scene, like the scene where they're in his apartment, like that series of events is just—it's really heartwarming and it's nice to watch. All in all, like I said, as a romantic comedy, it does what it needs to do. I don't hate it. It's all right.
I give this movie 2.5 sad hand jobs out of 5.
I give it 4 bears with coin in their feet out of 7.
All right, guys. Second movie. It's a very underrated movie. Good movie. Gangster Squad.
Love it.
It's great. I like gangster movies. I also like good movies. And a lot of those things, a lot of the time, do not go together. With the exception of Goodfellas, Casino, and the Godfather movies. There's a lot of straight-to-DVD, Netflix, gangster movies that are...
Honorable mention to the Brad Pitt one recently. We were talking about this, oh god, the name's gonna kill me. You know what I'm talking about, Killing Them Softly.
Yeah, that's a modern, yeah. But I mean, this is a cliche, the 40s era gangster movie. Well, very cliched, it's been done a lot. Hasn't been a good one recently in that era, and this movie... It's a different take. I very much enjoyed it. I said this to Mike earlier. It's the greatest comic book movie that was never considered a comic book movie.
It really resonated with me when you said that, because I do agree, all right? But so, I mean, like, long and short of it is, it's a post-World War II LA mobster story, and it's the up-and-coming, like, mob kingpin Cohen.
Of Mickey Cohen.
Yeah, Sean Penn kills it.
Real-life character, by the way, Mickey Cohen.
And Sean Penn does an absolute
Sean Penn,
amazing
phenomenal.
job.
The only thing he did terrible was Africa.
And his really, really lame attempt during Hurricane Katrina to go out with a boat that can hold 2 people.
And mustache.
I don't... Anyways, Cohen.
Oh, and it being a brother, but that joke is for later.
We'll talk. But, I mean, so I mean, right off the bat, this movie, it's a power fantasy, because you take the concept of mobsters, and you
stylize it so heavy, and it's awesome.
But they're they're undercover cops is essentially it, right? Because they form like an anti-mob squad that is cops, but because they're worried about corruption on the force, or because they want them to bend the law a little bit, they're not legitimately cops. So it's a ragtag team put together by Josh Brolin's character, who's O'Mara, who's like the grizzled veteran coming back from World War II.
Yeah, he's like super straight-laced, and I do everything by the book.
Oh, Purple Star, secret, like, undercover operations, Camp X, can't talk about all the secret hardcore shit he's done. It's pretty awesome. And then he's got
Apparently didn't have time to go to acting school, though, during all that.
I mean... How do you play a tough guy in a movie if you don't?
You act like Josh Brolin.
Yeah, you don't act is what you're getting at. But I mean, again, the cast in this film is unreal. Like,
huge cast, brilliant cast. Not one person in that movie didn't need to be there.
Everyone fits the role. Everyone does a job. So Mickey Cohen is Sean Penn. Gosling plays like the cool cop, like the guy who's been through it all. Like he's the slick cop, the badass. His name's Jerry. Anthony Mackie is I don't want to make it this joke, but he's the black guy. I mean,
he is the black guy.
Every crew needs a black guy. You need to have one. But he's like the vice cop, right? He's the guy who knows the streets.
He's very good at throwing knives.
Yeah, he's incredibly good at it. Giovanni Ribisi plays like the super tech guy. They meet up with him for wire.
He's very squirrely.
Yeah, he's clearly not the tough guy or the brave guy, but you need a tech dude on the team, right? And then you've got Robert Patrick.
He is one of my favorite character actors ever.
Can we agree that he's always going to be T-1000 though?
He is T-1000. He was in one of my favorite series called The Unit. He was in that. I very much enjoyed that. He's also in a show now called Scorpion, and he's very good in that.
And then his partner, the rookie.
Yeah, Michael Pena. Everyone else might know him from End of Watch.
He was great film.
Great film. We need to talk about that.
Next on the docket. We got to focus on Gangster.
Yeah, stop saying docket, actually. That'll be an episode. I trained Mike to not say docket anymore.
Housebreaking.
Housebreaking, yes.
Housebreaking, too.
Yeah, you know him from that. He was recently in Fury with Brad Pitt. He was very good in that movie. He is very good in everything that I've seen him in. He kind of came out of nowhere.
I did a lot of television before. I've seen a lot
Yeah, he was big in television, but in terms of like feature movies, he wasn't a very big deal until recently, and I'm glad that he is.
He's getting the time he deserves, right?
He's very good. I mean, he's never ever going to be like Brad Pitt or like whatever, Tom Cruise, and it's not because it's the way he looks. He's just not.
He's Hispanic, and we're not.
Well,
ready
yeah,
for it.
I mean, we're not ready for that yet.
That's all.
I mean, go do a telenovela.
Or it's because he's
buddy.
not pretty. He's not pretty enough.
It's not even that. I mean, he's an actor. He is a character actor, and he'll never really lead anything.
Let's summarize the movie a little bit because at this point,
I'll leave that to you.
All right. So long story short, like I said, it follows John O'Mara, who's this grizzled veteran from World War II. It's a post-World War II LA, and Mickey Cohen is on the up-and-coming, like basically on the top, the high-rise to being like the biggest criminal name in the city. And he's got a master plan he's working on. You can check it out. It's like a communications hub for gambling and marketing, and it will give him so much power and so much control over money that he'll basically be unstoppable. So it's the culmination of his desire to build this vast criminal empire that can't be taken apart, and Josh Brolin and his team's job to rip it apart. And you basically get like, it's almost like a conflicting mob story. Like Cohen's the current mob in power, and O'Mara is like this up and coming team that's just trying to rip everything apart. And it is so much fun watching these guys mess shit up because they're messing up the bad guys. It's great. I love it.
Oh yeah, they go to town on those dudes.
Oh, they just it's so good. It's so pulpy. It's so stylish. And going back to what you said about it being the comic book thing, do you want to expand on that? Because I really
I will. There's a scene in this movie, and they do it in a lot of like cartoons. They do it in a lot of comics too, where he recruits his team, and they sort of introduce each one of the team members in a way that's going to sum up who they are. And the example I'll use for that one is Anthony Mackie. They show him throwing a knife into a guy's hand, nailing it to a wall, essentially, and he takes like a bag of heroin out of his hand.
Yeah,
but he saw it out of nowhere. It was...
It's so comic book. Like I think you hit the nail on the head because every character's got his intro. I love the subtext too that like Josh Brolin's wife is the one picking out all this.
Yeah, that was a good.
Doing it out of like. I mean, the relationship there is really, really solid, too. And, I mean, you've got relationships as a subtext of this movie works as well, right? Because you've got Gosling with Emma Stone. You've got Ribisi with his family, which actually works out in kind of a sad way. They don't really focus on it with the other characters, but you've got the relationship between Michael Pena and Robert Patrick as, like, the rookie and, the cowboy cop.
Yeah, Robert Patrick essentially plays, like, an old-school Texas Ranger lawman with a six-shooter.
Oh, yeah.
Which has no place.
Fast on the draw, really, really cool cliche, but no application in a post-World War II.
Something that you forgot to mention that I want to is that Emma Stone is fucking Ryan Gosling, but dating Mickey Cohen.
Well, I mean, it's weird, right? Because she's the etiquette instructor, so it's kind of like they're not quite dating, but you know that Cohen could have her if he wanted to because he's this mob bad guy. So you've got this whole, like, get your hand out of the cookie jar Ryan Gosling thing going on. And they got that really cool scene where they're at the dinner table and he's talking to her about it. And she's kind of like, I don't have to go if you ask me to stay. And he's like, or you can just stay and not go. And she's... I mean, they, again, really great chemistry between
his backstory to why he's on the team too is very comic book with the whole.
So Gosling doesn't give a shit, frankly. No. Like as a character, he's not quite a dirty cop, but he knows what's going on. And he doesn't mind avoiding doing his job because it comes with some perks.
Mike Garrett.
But so along the way, he's got like this kinship with this little shoeshine kid. It's kind of one of those, like, he's trying to, like, not quite look out for him, but he's just saying, like, hey, man, you're in a bad spot, get out of here. And, of course, in the rise to power of Cohen, they end up taking out, like, a rival mobster, and it ends up, this kid gets shot, and Gosling just snaps.
Like, hugging him in the rain.
Oh, it's wicked, though, because the scene is specifically, like, Gosling, like, ends up shooting at some of these guys who killed a kid, and one of them's in the street on his back, and it's like you saw in the trailer. It's a defining moment where he's like, you can't do this. You're a cop. And Gosling goes, not anymore, and just blasts him. And it's so like, fap. It's wicked. I mean, long story short, like I said, this is a story about some cops that, like, it's vigilantes. It's literally, that's why it's a comic story.
Yeah, it's a great movie, though. I loved it. They had even the posters for this. Like, everything was cool. I actually have a poster for it in my house.
It's just so stylish. The cinematography is great. They really capture, like, the over-the-top, like, the glam and the big band style of, like, the... Like,
yeah, there's a lot of scenes where they go to, like, those old school kind of, like, clubs and whatever, and it's very interesting. I very much enjoy it.
It's great. It's got, like, there's, like, traces of Dick Tracy, which I love in it, but it's in a way more modern approach, and it's really,
it was super
really
cool. I loved it. It's one of my favorite of that style of movies, and I know I will not put it in the same league as Goodfellas or Godfather, because it's not. It's not the same type of movie. Those are character studies. This isn't. This is...
At the same time, though, like, it does have... It's like a lighter version, right? Like, it's like a not going, like, full-course meal.
Exactly, yeah,
but it's like the fast food of monster movies, but it's delicious. It's the fast food that you're like, this is really gross to your friends, and then when no one's looking, you get way too much, and you eat it all to yourself.
Okay.
That's how I would describe it.
I can't say enough how much I like this movie and how much you should go see this movie. Not go see, but you should get it somehow. You should find it.
Buy it. I would say buy it.
I would buy it. I bought this movie. I bought it when it came out. I knew what Tuesday it was coming out, and I went to go get it. I really wanted this movie. I saw it twice in the theater, and I'm not even ashamed about it.
Why would you? It's a great film. I literally have nothing bad to say about this film. There are some moments where it's a little bit over the top, but at the same time, it's, if you look at it like a vigilante comic book movie, it's supposed to be, right? And I think a lot of that works in its favor, especially leading up to the end, the big showdown, which, by the way, not a lot of people recognize this necessarily, also a Christmas movie.
Yeah, I was just going to say, to bring it, the one holiday movie that we are doing in this one is this movie. There is one Christmas tree in the lobby during the final shootout.
And that's all I need. That's
all you need to make it a holiday movie.
Christmas
Everyone
that's a little bit of snow, maybe, good to go.
It's LA. There's not going to be any snow.
Not snow at all. I mean, again, this is just another example where we don't have enough bad things to say about it, so it's hard to shit on it. We could talk about the culmination. The end of the movie is a lot like a boss fight. It's very video gamey.
It is very video game. Yes. It is essentially like a boss fight.
You go through the big villain complex, the main hideout where the bad guys are staying.
It's a fortress.
Exactly. And they just took down the corrupt judge, but the final thing they do is make him sign a warrant for Mickey Cohen, which is like suicide for any other judge. But they strong arm him, and they show up and they know outright, like, you're not going to arrest Mickey Cohen. You're going to fight every one of his employees to get to him, and it leads to an incredible, the Knights of the Round storming the villain's castle. You know, it's
did this make you want to play like Mafia 2 or something?
The Mafia games are kind of bad, but it makes me want to dress my Grand Theft Auto 5 character up in mob gear and then go on a shooting spree with a Tommy gun. I'll say that much, which you can do, by the way.
We could, yeah.
But I mean, all in all, like, feel good film. The big climax, the big payoff is after all the blood and bullets and all the crazy shooting is done. It's John O'Mara versus Cohen, who is like
in
an
like
ex-boxer.
A fist fight.
They beat the shit out of each other.
It's so good, and they allude to the fact that Mickey Cohen is a boxer, which he was in real life. But what they don't tell you in real life is that his professional record was horseshit.
Oh yeah, he was pretty garbage.
Yeah, he was terrible. But they do all these scenes where he's like hitting a heavy bag. It's very homoerotic. He's not wearing a shirt. All of his buddies are sitting there going, "Yeah, Mickey, get him." Aren't they sitting there in towels watching movies at one point?
Yeah, well, they're in the living room, and it's when there's a scene with Emma Stone, and she's kind of like, things are starting to go bad in the Cohen enterprise, and she kind of wants to go, and you get this. Like, Cohen does, like, not Cohen, but Penn does such a good job of displaying this kind of, like, calm and then immediate to insanity and this intensity that's unreal.
Yeah, he goes from 0 to 100 real quick, which if you look up anything about Mickey Cohen, he was like that.
Well, I mean, they tie a guy in 2 cars and rip him in half. There's a lot of, like, brutal murdering your henchman scenes, which, again, makes it so comic booky. It's so, like...
He's a supervillain.
Yeah, exactly. It's literally you unfortunately hit it so perfectly on the head when you said that it's a comic book movie.
Why is it unfortunate when I say things that are valid?
Because I want to be the one to summarize it perfectly, and I want you to just make incoherent baboon sounds.
That's what work is for.
Yeah, true enough. But, I mean, again, it's just, you got your characters all have their own backstory and their own intro. Everything's very stylish. You know, I mean, for the most part, nobody, like, it takes like they kill and take down so many bad guys and take like next to no casualties. Spoilers: 2 of them do go down, but one of them is like a passing of the torch between Max Kennard and the rookie cop, Michael Pena's character. I can't remember his name. They call him Navidad actually. And then Giovanni Ribisi, who's like the family man that they recruit him, and it's great because they have this scene where it's like the launch of the V2 rocket in the background, and it's like like I want to tell my kids that I did something to fight crime and corruption in this city. I don't want to just let it go to the wolves, which of course means he's going to die. And that's an intense scene. But I mean, again, this movie's just got such a cool style to it. It hits all the right spots, and it's just such a good action flick. If you're looking for an action film with a little bit of artistic flair, look no further. I can't stress how much I enjoyed this movie.
You know what? I watched this movie last night. If I wanted to, I could just watch it again.
Anything you don't like about it?
There's a few things. I thought that some of like the stuff with Mickey Cohen I thought was kind of stupid. I think that they did a lot to make him seem insane that they didn't need to do.
I thought it was balanced. I thought it was fair because like a man like that, like he needs to be terrifying. And that scene in the diner where he's talking to the other mobster, oh god, I can't even for the life of me remember what he says, and I wish I could, but it's just like this really calm demeanor, like I'm the manifest destiny. His rant about manifest destiny is so good and menacing because it's just got like it shows that it's not just him wanting, like, not giving a shit about people. It's that he's got this vision, this goal he wants to build. It's really solid.
This movie is a bit long. I will say that.
You felt like it dragged a bit?
Maybe it's because I've seen it a lot, but it felt long to me.
I have no complaints. I like it. I like the Chinatown shit show, the trap setup, like everything. There's nothing about this movie I don't enjoy. I think one of my favorite scenes too is with Gosling and Emma Stone, and where the guys come to put acid on her, and Gosling just has this sort of like insane, like I don't know, it's just Drive again. It's just where like Gosling goes from being calm and happy to like just murderous and rampaging, and I absolutely love it.
Speaking of comic books, this just came to me, not to like derail this. There is actually comic book references in the movie. There is comic books about Hopalong.
Yeah, that's right. That's very true, in fact. Yeah, Hopalong, i.e. like, so Max Kennard, which is like the cowboy cop, and I don't mean like cowboy in the sense of wild gunning, because by slang factor, Gosling's character, Jerry, is the cowboy.
Is the cowboy. No, Hopalong is actually a cowboy. Yeah. He wears a cowboy hat, he wears bullets on his belt with a 6-shooter.
He's got, the mustache.
He's got the mustache. He looks like the guy that does like the Ram commercials.
He's right out of the Western, and it's a weird fit for a World War II, like a post World War II LA.
And they never address why he's like that, but
yeah, I don't know.
But he's literally got comic books about him.
Yeah, well, she references it like when talking about O'Mara, when O'Mara's wife is talking about recruiting people, she slaps down a comic book of him on it, and he's like, "Come on, you can't just pick a guy out of the comic book and recruit him." And then of course they do that right after.
Yeah.
So.
But it is a comic book movie, and I stand by that. I think you agree with me now.
If
you don't agree with me, I can yell until you do.
Yeah. No, we're good. You've convinced me. And again, especially with the introductions, each character gets its introduction.
That's what did it for me.
Yeah, well, and the superhero relationship when you look at like Hopalong and Navidad, right? Because you've got the rookie who follows him out. He's the sidekick. He's the Robin to his
he wasn't originally supposed to be on the team.
Not at all, and it's great. It works perfectly, right? So, and they're like, "Well, you're here. We can either have to kill him or bring him along." It's just great. This movie's just dripping.
Gosling's whole thing is based on revenge, essentially. So
I love it. I'm such a sucker for revenge movies.
Essentially, every one of those characters has a different superhero origin.
Yeah.
But
they're kind of their own, not necessarily powers, but their own style. So it works out really well.
It's nice. It's like
this movie. This movie has one of the best montages too. You get the big band going, and they're just rolling over mobster scumbags.
I like that the music is modern too.
Cars. Oh yeah, it works out.
They do a Jay-Z song during that, I believe.
If I'm not mistaken, yeah. I mean, it's never too in your face, but music is an important part, right? I don't want to talk about this necessarily, but I recently watched Equalizer, and while I enjoy the film, the music in it is terrible. So, I mean, it plays a big part.
I'm a sucker for score. It's one of the reasons I like Drive so much.
Refn does an incredible job. But focusing on Gangster Squad, in summation, definitely recommend it. Go see it. If you haven't seen it, you deserve to go and see it. You're missing out if you haven't seen it yet.
This is a 4.5 star out of 5 movie for me.
I'm going to give it 4 dead shoeshine kids out of 5. I want to go further, but we're going to say the last one's in...
I'm going to go 4.5 zoot suits out of 5.
I'm going to say the 5th one is in critical condition.
Yeah. All right, guys, we got the third movie coming up in just a second.
All right, guys. Third up, Place Beyond the Pines. Spencer's got a throbbing heart for this movie. Brief synopsis, if you will. So, this movie stars Ryan Gosling, briefly, Eva Mendes, Bradley Cooper, Ray Liotta, and then two guys who play their sons, whose names I don't know.
One of them's a jackass, that's all I know.
I don't know them personally, I'm not comfortable making that statement.
I call them Squirrely and Jackass.
There's, like, Doucheball and Loner Stoner. But... moving forward, so it's the story of like Ryan Gosling's character, who's like a circus performing bike driver named Luke, and how
Handsome Luke,
aptly definitely named, like throbbing Luke.
His hair is terrible. I have a thing about egregious hair.
Oh man, this is like the trend, right?
He looks like a mini wheat. I don't
all the face tattoos and stuff to make him super like tough guy, but whatever. Anyway, so.
His like Zuba pants, his Joey Buttafuoco pants.
His Joey Buttafuoco fiber. So he drives like he's a dirt bike driver / motorcycle guy. He's like this tough dude, doesn't really give a shit, rides around with this like traveling circus, if you will, performing. He stops into this one town where he meets Eva Mendes, i.e. a girl named Romina. I don't know why I said i.e., doesn't matter. Finds out the hard way that he's got a kid with her. I guess in a recent time they'd come through the city.
Yeah, it was a year ago, apparently, that he came through the city.
They got together. She had a kid and didn't tell him because she couldn't contact him. She's Spanish, so, Catholicism, no birth control, etc., etc. So he ends up saying, like, whose kid is this? Is this my kid? Because he goes to visit her and finds out he's...
No, she shows up at the show when he comes through the
next but he drops her off, right?
Yeah.
He doesn't know she's got a kid yet. Like, he finds out. Anyways, so long story short, he decides to stick around and play father to his kid. Like, he wants to do right by her. He wants to do the good thing.
And he does that by robbing people.
Well, banks are insured, and it's not... I mean, he doesn't start off that way, right? He's sticking around and he doesn't know what to do with himself, and he wants to play the role. He wants to be that guy.
He meets a guy while he's riding his dirt bike in the woods this guy is one of the most phenomenal character actors. I'm going to look up his name while I'm ranting about this, but the way he meets him is kind of stupid.
There's like a big time homoerotic subtext between the two of them, if you ask me. I wanted to talk about
a lot of shirtless hanging out.
I mean, they're just a couple of dudes hanging out with shirts.
We're not wearing shirts now.
Yeah, that's different though. I have a plan for that. But I mean, long story short, like he tries to play the father role. He wants to be like a father figure. He wants to do right by Romina and by his kid, but it's hard because Romina's seeing this other dude and she's living in his house and and he wants to be a supporter and a provider. So meeting up with this guy, he gets a place to stay. And, money's not easy to come by in this little slick shithole city that they're in. So they come up with the idea of robbing banks. Now, this is kind of like the first half of this movie.
They allude to the fact that his buddy has done it before.
Yeah, well, he talks about it.
Yeah, he does. And his name, by the way, is Ben Mendelsohn. This will be the second Killing Them Softly reference, but he's also in that. And he's
one of the druggy robbers in that one.
Fucking
great movie.
Brilliant in that movie, too. He kind of plays the same character.
Just a scumbag, greasy dude, but I mean, again, he still does a great job. But suffice to say, this is only the first half of the movie. So we intro with Gosling and this dude ripping off a couple of banks with a really, really lazy motorcycle in the back of a box truck plan. But it's great. It's intense. It works out. I love that after their first heist, Gosling pukes.
That was good. I like that. That made it real.
It was good, right? Because it had this intensity to it that it wasn't like, here's this super ultra tough guy. It was just a dude who like was brazen enough to try it, but was still nervous and scared. Halfway through the film, it becomes a story of Bradley Cooper and his journey along becoming a cop.
He's a cop. Spoiler, and I am going to spoil this because there's no way to talk about one half of the movie.
You can't, yeah.
Without talking about this first. What happens is Gosling decides that he's going to rob 2 banks in one day. His buddy says, fuck off, you're crazy.
Yeah,
I'm not doing this with you. He, breaks his bike on purpose so that he can't do it, and then Gosling goes to get a new bike, and then it's not, tuned or what.
It's not the high enough quality bike, so it ends up causing problems later
on. And what happens is he robs the bank. He ends up having to hole up in this house. Bradley Cooper is the officer that's around.
Pretty cool chase scene, though.
Pretty cool, yeah. It's a very cool chase scene. Bradley Cooper shoots Gosling
in one of the most weird and haunting twists that I've seen in
now,
film in the last
you
while.
watched this in The Office, if I'm not mistaken, and when this happened, I knew what scene you were at.
I couldn't, like, so the weirdest thing is that, like, Gosling's holed up in this house, and, everything's gone to shit, and I don't even want to, like, I want you to go and see the film, but I guess if you're going to hear spoilers and you're thinking about it, go see this film is my first point before I...
Even if you know everything that happens...
So Gosling's in this room, and he's, like, he calls up, he leaves a message for Romina's character, and he's like, don't tell the kid about me, like, because he realizes he's, like, he's an idiot, he's fucked up, like, he can't be the person that he wants to be. He doesn't know how, you know what I mean? He's just trying to do right by them, but he doesn't know how. And this is after that scene with, there's a scene where once he's robbed the bank, he starts buying all these things for Romina and the baby, and generally making an effort. And it seems like if he can just keep his cool, that he's got a chance, he can do something with it. But then, Romina's boyfriend shows up, and of course he, like, hits him in the goddamn head with a wrench, and it's fucking awesome. Psycho. It's wicked, but it's just, like, you realize that, like Gosling, or Luke in this case, is not father figure material. So, in this, like, heart-wrenching scene, he's holed up in this house, and Cooper's running in, he saves, like, gets the family out, and he's going inside to confront Gosling, and Gosling's on the phone just saying, like, don't tell the kid about me. And out of nowhere, and I nearly shit myself when this happened because I wasn't ready for it, in bursts fucking Bradley Cooper, Avery, just gats him. Gosling takes a hit, fires back, shoots him, he's wounded. But Gosling falls out a goddamn window
and cracks his head open.
He's just slumped on, like, the pavement, there's a huge pool of blood, and I'm watching this going, like, okay.
He's not turning around for this one.
Spencer recommended this film to me because I thought it was a robbery story film, like classic arc. Like, they start small, then they get too big for their britches. They get too hungry, and then things go wrong, and everything falls apart. This is actually the story of two men on completely different paths, and the decisions they make, and the ramifications of their decisions. Because after this halfway point, what happens is.
He looked, by the way, he was laying in a position that made him look like a caricature of, like, a chalk outline of a body.
It's haunting. Like, he looks so dead. And you can't even...
So dead.
I didn't even realize he was dead. And the follow-up scene is Cooper in the hospital, and they're talking to him, and he's like, what happened to the guy? He's dead. You killed him. And Gosling does not come back to the film.
In one scene, they show a photo of him.
Yeah.
That's it.
So I felt like I got bait and switched, but the movie is still really good.
Really good. Ray Liotta is a big part of this movie, which is good for me.
Here's the summary of the second half, if you will, just so you know kind of what this movie's about. Long story short, it follows Avery and his rise through the detective ranks, because after this goes down, he actually gets involved with some corrupt cops, at the forefront of which is Ray Liotta, who plays an officer named DeLuca.
Great character.
Yeah.
Great character.
It's great because it leads to the scene where they go to Romina's house, or rather Romina's boyfriend's house where she is, and they take back the money that Gosling has been giving her from like the robberies.
Yeah.
But it's amazing because it leads to these two scenes which shadow each other, and this film is really good for that. It's really good for, I don't want to say repetitive, but like taking a scene that happens and then showing it in a different way later on to nod to it. So in this case, there's a scene where Gosling is desperately trying to give Ava money. Just desperately, like Romina, like, take this cash. Like, I'm a shitty person.
I'm a dick.
But please take the money for the baby. And she won't take it, and she's crying outside her car, and she's really stressed and upset about it. Anyways, fast forward, these crooked cops, at the forefront of which is Ray Liotta, show up, take the money from these heists.
And split it.
Amongst themselves.
And give the bigger portion
to Bradley Cooper.
Who is morally, you can tell from the beginning, morally conflicted by all of this.
Well, he doesn't want to be like he just wants to be a good cop. That's all he's wanted to be from the get-go, and you sense his struggle with doing what he thinks is right versus doing what these guys want. But it leads to this crazy like cycle of stuff where he wants to get promoted, they won't promote him, so he's at the evidence locker, and then these corrupt cops are asking him to do favors. Again, really, really good film. I'm not going to give away the whole plot. Suffice to say that Cooper ends up manipulating the events so that he can basically get these cops busted by internal affairs, but also negotiate a wicked deal for himself so he can become a DA. I mean, it's a really...
Because he is a lawyer. We have to touch on that or the story's not going to make sense. Yeah. He was a lawyer first. Then, after that happens, the third act of the movie, and the third act in most movies is what loses me in most movies. But the third act of the movie then becomes not about those two, but about their sons.
Well, that's the ramifications of your decision, right? Because Luke's kid grows up, And Bradley Cooper's kid grows up, and
he grows up in a seemingly good home. I mean, like the boyfriend, I think his name is Kofi in the movie.
Yeah, Kofi.
He seems to be a good dude. He seems to like.
He is. He's trying to like when he's talking to Luke's kid. He's like, hey man, like
they go out for ice cream in one scene, and he asks him about his dad.
Tell me about my father. What was the deal? And Kofi's like, I'm your father. Like I raised you. Like don't worry about that guy. And it's heart-wrenching and it's meaningful, but you also get that subtext of like, you're not really my dad. I want to know about the person. Like I want to know where I came from, right? And then it leads to him researching all sorts of stuff, and it plays back into like the climax of the film. But like the big. Like I said, to appreciate this film, you've got to look at like the three scenes which repeat themselves. And for me, that's it's the money giving scene, it's the forest scene, and it's the driving off on that same road scene. So what I mean by that is early on in the film, Luke is trying to give Romina money from the heists, and she doesn't want it because she thinks he's a bad guy. After the crooked cops steal the money from Romina and her family, i.e. Eva Mendes, Bradley Cooper confronts her outside of her house and tries to give her the money back. So it's literally the same scene, only this time with Bradley Cooper trying to give her the money, and she's just crying because she can't handle the stress of it. The forest scene that I'm referencing is when Cooper's going out to the woods to meet Ray Liotta before he basically snitches on these guys for his own kind of self-improvement or for his own betterment. And he's driving into this place beyond the pines, if you will. This
which comes from, I'll just say this, I didn't get it either, but the name of the movie comes from like the nickname of the city, like the real life nickname of the city it takes place in, which is Schenectady, New York.
Schenectady. I'll say this much, like I said, in finishing like the to and from film. So he goes to meet Ray Liotta, and then he gets scared because he thinks Liotta's going to kill him. So he flees from the woods. And this is a scene that's echoed later on in the film when Luke's son actually, at gunpoint, ends up kidnapping Bradley Cooper and taking him to the same place in the woods. And in fact, for a while, you think is going to execute him there. So it foreshadows that. And the final scene is there's a scene early on in the film where Gosling is just driving his motorcycle through the woods. And
this was my favorite scene in the movie.
It's a great way to end it, absolutely. But so Gosling's driving his bike, and you see that the first time. It doesn't really mean much to you, but then by the end of the film, when all is said and done,
it's not even the end of the film. The part that you're speaking of is at a certain point, Jason, Gosling's son in the movie, goes to see his buddy Robin, the greaseball heist partner.
The guy, the heist partner that.
And he gives him a couple of things that were his dad's. They talk about his dad's. There's a very nonchalant offering of a beer to a minor at that point in the movie.
Not really the worst criminal activity that they've embarked
on. No, but he goes to meet him, and then when he's riding home on his little BMX bike there, it's the exact same music, same trees. Yeah. Everything is exactly the same. And the minute I saw that, I'm like, oh, geez.
Yeah. Well, and then, and that's kind of it's confirmed. Sorry, I was getting ahead of myself. It's confirmed at the end of the film when he goes and picks up the bike.
He buys a motorcycle.
He buys a motorcycle similar to the dirt bike Gosling was driving at the forefront. And the guy's even like, do you know how to ride that? And the kid's,
I'll figure it out. He says, I'll figure it out.
And, of course, he guns it up and it starts and he drives off in the sunset to go and probably become a bank robber, but we don't even know. But, the missing chunk here is that the story follows the interaction between Bradley Cooper's son and Ryan Gosling's son, or I don't know if you guys would prefer to hear actor names or character names. I guess it doesn't really matter.
We'll figure it out. Yeah, fuck you guys. You can email us.
You'll know what we're talking about at least at a given point. And so through their interactions, they kind of get along because they're both miscreants and drug users. The irony is that it's
the one kid has an unnecessary accent.
Oh, he's such a greaseball cliche douche, but it works, right? You're supposed to hate him.
Yeah, you want to hate him, but everything he says, you're just like, fuck. I don't know.
I mean, it's the movie's second, the second half is really a love letter to how bad parenting, right? Because that's the irony. Gosling character wants to be a father, but can't. Bradley Cooper's character is a father but doesn't want to be, right? That's the trade-off. His son ends up coming to live with him. He does a really poor job of raising him.
There's a really weird scene too where he's like, you can have everything you want, just not that.
Yeah, well, he's so after they get arrested, that's another turning point in the film, and Cooper's able to pull some strings because he's a DA at this point to get them off the hook, but he grabs his kid around the throat and slams him against the wall because he's been living with the guilt of having shot Gosling, and this kid now has no father. Gosling's Jason has no dad, so he grabs his kid by the throat and is like, "Leave that kid alone, stay away from him." Which of course he fucking doesn't. It leads to like this house party. Shit goes wrong.
Cool soundtrack in this movie too.
Great, sounds on point. Sounds on point. The house party is like the precursor to like the climax of the film, which is essentially like Jason just kind of loses his mind and snaps, and you get that mean streak, like that, like I don't give a fuck attitude that his dad had. Like,
but he gets his ass kicked.
Absolutely, he gets the shit out of. But that's what makes him kind of go crazy. Like he starts at that point, but he ends up coming back to Bradley Cooper's house with a gun, and I swore he was going to kill Cooper's son. Like I thought for sure that was going to be.
That's how I thought it was going to go too.
But in the end, he ends up just like taking the kid hostage, and that's when he gets Bradley Cooper at gunpoint. They drive out to what I would call the place beyond the pines. Maybe it's a dual, like it's not a double entendre, but a play on it, right? Because the place beyond the pines is Schenectady, but it's also where the trees end. There's this big dark clearing.
This is also the point in the movie where you realize that Cooper really does give a shit about his kid, because all he asks about when he thinks he's going to be executed is my son okay?
Yeah. And the wallet scene, the defining moment, like what saves Cooper's life is that he's got a photo of Gosling's family in his wallet, so he can think about every day the guy he shot.
And he kept the photo.
Yeah.
Didn't he mail it to his mom at the end of the movie?
The kid does.
Yeah. The kid, when he leaves, you operate under the assumption that the kid never comes back home.
Oh, well, you don't. It's ambiguous, but yeah, the subtext I think we both take away from it is that he's going to go off and be whatever his father was, right? Like either a robber or like a ruffian or just like an outcast, like a different, not quite human. He's gonna do things his own way, but it's a really powerful and unique film. I don't really know. Like I'm trying to give a summary. I feel like I've been talking about the plot for 10 minutes and I haven't accomplished anything.
This movie is a sweeping epic that spans a lot of years.
Okay. I agree. Sweeping epic seems bold, but yes, it does. And then that's the thing too, right? It does cover like
20 years almost, arguably. Yeah.
Cooper's rise from a basic like cop with like a lawyer,
fucking beat cop to a doesn't he run for like? Yeah, he runs for DA at one point.
Yeah, well, I thought he became DA and he was running for something else, like governor or
no, he becomes district attorney.
Yeah, but he's running for another higher up position because his dad is like bow out and
he runs for something anyway. He becomes like a big shot politician, and there's this scene at the end where the son of Bradley Cooper like goes to stand next to his dad and doesn't look like such a piece of shit.
Yeah, but I mean, again, like you still like it's just the beauty of it, right? This movie's really really complex. Unlike Crazy Stupid Love, this movie has a lot of content. There's a lot of meat on its bones, and there's a lot of things.
Yeah.
It's smart. Like, there's the simple, obvious stuff, like showing the same scenes, but the themes are...
The nuances are what make this movie so good.
I mean, you have, like, the idea of, like, what it means to be a man, and what it means to be a parent, and what it means to provide, what it means to care about people. You've got the subtext of, like where do you come from, what are your origins, and how does that determine who you are, right? Because, like, Cooper is... This good guy. He's a good cop, and he wants to be a quality person and make a positive impact. But he clearly doesn't give a shit about his son, which is why his son's a piece of shit. And then you have that likened to Kofi, or I want to say it's Kofi.
It's Kofi.
All right, yeah. So Kofi is this guy who literally cares about these people. Like he's got Eva Mendes and her kid and her mom in his house. He is like going above and beyond to be a good person. Like takes him to church, gets the kid baptized. Like he is being like a man's man, taking care of somebody else's family.
He stepped up, man, no doubt.
And Gosling hits him in the head with a wrench. Like it's crazy. Like it's such a complex movie with like fucked up people and how the decisions you make can like affect and change things. And like I said, I love that the start of this movie is about Ryan Gosling and his interaction with Cooper, however briefly. Then it's about Cooper for a bit, and then it's about their kids in the second half. You know what I mean? So it's really really rich. I understand why you love it so much. I don't think it's like necessarily a crazy achievement in film, but it just does so much right. It's hard to deny that it's a quality film, and you definitely need to go and see it.
Yeah, this is my favorite movie of the last 10 years. I love it.
I'm a big fan of Sin City 2. I think that is the great... No, that movie's a piece of shit. I can't even...
He was...
Brief side note, don't go see Sin City 2. Don't go see it, don't buy it. Just live in a world where you only...
Don't even look at the poster. Don't...
Oh, God, it's so painful. I should have shit on that when we were talking about Gangster Squad. But anyways, I digress. Talking about Place Beyond the Pines, Unreal film.
Love it. I give it 5 out of 5 fucking anythings. 5 out of 5 dickhead kids. 5 out of 5.
I'll say this. I think it is an incredibly close to, if not perfect, film. However, I don't think everyone's going to love it. So be careful when you sit down to watch. If you're looking for something casual thrown in the background, I don't think this is...
That's Gangster Squad.
Yeah.
That's what Gangster Squad is.
Or Crazy Stupid Love.
Or Crazy Stupid Love.
But not...
I can sum this up, I think, pretty concisely. This, if you know that you love film, if you legitimately love films... As a medium, and you haven't seen this movie, 1, you're stupid.
You're doing a disservice to yourself.
Number 2, you were the kids in Ariel Castro's basement, just to bring it back. Wow. Or you just haven't got around to it, in which case, either one, go see the movie.
Definitely.
Go see it. Find it, buy it, rent it, whatever. Watch it. It is a brilliant film, and I honestly, I don't know anyone that doesn't like it.
It's impressive cinematically. It's shot.
The score is good.
It's a solid film. And it just is. There's nothing else to say. Right on, guys. So that was episode 2. We appreciate you tuning in. Not a lot to say. We're just going to cap off with a quick outro, talking about what we intend to do, where we want to go with it. The big thing I want to push for this one is we've got our SoundCloud account set up. We're working on getting some domain or some hosting. It depends on, if we get continued positive reception. We've got an email set up, which is fhcpodcast@gmail.com. So if there's anything you want to tell us, if you don't like us, if you think we should kill
you want to tell
ourselves,
Mike to get another co-host, something.
Yeah, absolutely. If you want Spencer to stop yelling at me, or if you want Spencer to get a new co-host so he can yell at that person. But we want any feedback. If there's anything you want to see us do, if there's anything you don't like or you do like, let us know. Give us a shout out. If you've got a YouTube video where you rant about how stupid we are and how we clearly...
Yeah, man, we love that.
Yeah, please tell us why we're idiots, because we're looking for new reasons every day.
Yeah, as our parents don't do a good enough job of telling us how terrible.
Pretty close, though.
Pretty close.
Almost there.
Yeah, almost there. Like Mike said, if you have anything you want us to review, I'm always down to watch pretty much any movie.
Yep.
And then throw my opinion at people, so...
I've subjected myself to way worse films than you can possibly ask me to. Dude, way worse. Anyways, thanks for tuning in. Please, guys, toss the link around. Get other people to weigh in on it. We want people to listen to it. We want to know how we can make it better. We want to know what you guys like, what you don't like. We do want to make this a regular thing, and for that to be a thing, we want to have people. And down the road, we're going to have some other guest people show up. Probably no one you know, but maybe you if you want to take part. So again, fhcpodcast@gmail.com. Thanks for tuning in.
Thanks, guys.